Is Nova on yet?
It says unknown on her under her name, so I don't know if she's there.
Staff want to give her a buzz on cell phone? Okay, well, it's 9:30. We'll give her a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead. We've got a quorum, so we'll call this meeting of the Electoral Area Services Committee for Wednesday, July 13th to order. And first order of business is the adoption of the public agenda.
Move
Can
adoption.
Move adoption. Second.
Any additions or changes? Okay, seeing none. Petitions and delegations, none. Adoption of previous meeting minutes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Any business arising? Nothing. No public considerations, notices of motion, chair's report.
Mr. Chair, sorry, just to cut you
Yes.
off there. Just because Director Anderson isn't here, and I think I heard Director Lee say she might have to go answer the door. If one of the directors leaves, we lose quorum and meeting's over. So just want to give Director Lee the heads up because Director Anderson's not here, so there's only 3 of 4.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could add to that, if Director Lee has to leave the meeting temporarily, probably you would want to recess until there's a quorum.
Just
back
for a
in place.
few minutes. Yeah, just for
so
a few
recess.
minutes. I
Thank
put
you,
a
Dave,
note
for
on
that
my,
information,
yeah,
but if I did recess, that would take care of it. I understand, Tom?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so if you need to go, Brenda, just say so and I'll call a recess.
yeah.
Okay,
I put
on to staff reports, ESA development permit for Lamb, Area D.
Move receipt of the report. One correction in the report, it refers to this land property as being in Stories Beach. It's actually in the Ocean Grove neighborhood. So that should be Ocean Grove.
Second.
Okay,
Mr.
any
Chair.
problem with that, staff?
No, that's fine. Mr. Chair, I believe
Okay.
John will speak to this.
Okay, John, if you've got something to say.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Apologies for the Stories Beach mislabeling. The property is currently developed with a single-family dwelling built in 1963. and with an accessory building in the southwest corner of the property. And the proponents wish to remove an existing deck and replace it with a larger deck on the concrete slab, and also install a container pool and carry out some landscaping works. And this is taking place within the 50-meter setback from the natural boundary of the ocean. In other regards, the development adheres to the front, side, and rear yard setbacks of the bylaw, and no land development or construction will take place within the required rear yard setback or the environmentally sensitive area located within 15 metres of the natural boundary of the sea. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Any comments on that from Director Lee or anyone else?
Well, normally when something hasn't gone through the APC, I would refer it there, but since the APC doesn't traditionally meet in the summer, and we lost a couple members recently, and one of our other members is a BC forest fighter manager, and he's probably out fighting fires right now. I think I'll just move the recommendation without referring it to the APC, because it might be hard to get them together in August.
Okay, so you're moving the recommendation.
Yeah.
Is there a
Mr. Chairman-
seconder?
Mr. Chairman, I believe you
Yeah.
currently have a motion on the floor.
Oh, yeah, that's right, for receipt. Okay, so on receipt, anyone opposed? Okay, seeing none. On to your motion. Brett.
Move to approve recommendation B.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Anyone opposed? That carries. Before I move on, could I just ask, is anyone else experiencing sound cutting out a bit or breaking up a bit
No.
from the boardroom?
No, at the office, we're fine here.
Okay. Yeah, just must be me. Okay, so the next one is a NOBA item. Have you joined us yet, NOBA?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, just 2 minutes late.
Okay, yeah, we waited for you for a bit, but then went ahead and started. So I was going to defer this one till later, till you showed up. But if you're here, we can go ahead with Quas Park Trail Realignment, Item 2, Acquisition Update. Report from the
Yep,
CAO.
move receipt.
Second.
Mr. Chair, Annika will speak to this for us.
Okay, Aniko?
Thank you through the chair to the committee. This is merely a project update with respect to the Quas Park Trail and the condition of the trail being impacted seasonally by flooding, and the current siting of the trail being in trespass with the residential property owner neighboring the park. Staff have been working with the neighboring property owner to rectify the trespass and have come to an agreement that the best case scenario would be for the regional district to enter into a lot line adjustment with the neighboring property to provide additional land for the trail to be sited on to also avoid the flooding of the nearby wetland and be within the property boundaries of the new park. There has been a budget provided for both the capital costs and acquisition costs that would cover the costs associated with both the subdivision application for the lot line adjustment, which will include legal fees and registration fees, as well as those costs associated with actually realigning the trail through a capital project. And that is our update. Thank you.
Okay,
Question,
thank
if I
you.
might?
Any comment? Any comment?
Thank
Did you
you.
say-
No, the lot line adjustment seems to be a really good approach. I certainly support that. I'm just wondering, with the lot line adjustment, what trail upgrades will still be needed that aren't associated with the flooding? Would the lot line adjustment wholly allow the trail that is currently used to stay where it is and be on regional district land? And if so, what upgrades are still needed? Is that strictly associated with the flooding issue? If you could just go into a bit more detail, please.
Thank you through the chair to the director. The costs associated with the lot line adjustment and the siting of the trail will be minimal. However, as you've noted, there are still costs that will be associated with the condition of the existing trail and boardwalk area to alleviate the impact of portions of the trail on the flooding. So there will still be some boardwalk work required to the existing trail boardwalk and some other minimal works associated with the other portion of the trail, which is currently in trespass, but those will be minimal.
And is it expected then that all of that work will be able to be done within the budget already provided? It seems like it, but just wanting to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. That's accurate.
Thank you.
Okay, so on receipt, is there anyone opposed? That's carried. And does there need to be a motion on this or not?
No, Mr. Chair, just it was an information update.
Okay. Thank you. On to number 3, parkland dedication.
Move receipt.
The report, first of all.
Move
Second.
receipt.
Okay, on receipt.
Mr. Chair, Annika will speak to this as well.
Okay, Aniko.
Thank you. Again, through the chair to the committee. The purpose of this report is to provide the committee information regarding some outstanding parkland dedication for April Point developments, which was deferred back in 2008 as part of a subdivision application that occurred at that time. When that application was brought forward, it was thought that there would be multiple phases of subdivision for the lands, and at that point, perhaps the best case scenario was to hold off on the parkland dedication until it was known what those next phases would look like. At this time, years later, obviously, much has changed with respect to April Point developments and ownership, and they're looking to resolve the outstanding parkland dedication at this time. Now, at that time, the board entered into a covenant agreement with the property owner for the park dedication that was required at that time, which was representing 5% of the parent parcel, equating to 2.78 hectares of land. The property owners are offering that plus at this time, and in addition to the land, construction to some trails, viewing platforms, and a parking lot. The offer is before you, and it is a recommendation of staff that the application for this land be accepted by the regional district to provide additional park for Area C and trail connectivity and foreshore access. Thank you.
Thank you, Aniko. I do have some comments to make. Most of them are going to be in the form of a motion, so I'll wait until after we've
Receipt.
passed the motion receipt. Okay, so if we could take the motion on receipt, and then I would have a subsequent motion before B.
Okay, question on receipt.
Is there anyone opposed? We did have a seconder, right?
Correct.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, so that's carried. All right, so if I may, my motion would be that as in the staff report, it mentions it right there, the suggestion to defer the acceptance until further info had been received regarding phases 2 and 3. Okay, so that will be my motion when I get to it, to defer the application or the acceptance until further info had been received regarding phases 2 and 3. My
I'll second
reasoning,
that for discussion.
okay, thank you, Nova. The reasoning for this motion is, if you'd like me to step down, that's up to you. Can you let me know?
I think
Committee?
that's cleaner.
Okay, I will step
Okay.
down. Brenda, can
Okay, I'll take the chair, and I will accept a motion from Director Abram to the effect that he would defer the acceptance of the parkland dedication until we receive the plan for phase 2 and 3. Seconder, I need a seconder.
Second.
I
Moved
did
in
second
second.
discussion.
Oh, sorry, Director Anderson, you did. Okay, so it's moved and seconded.
Okay,
Discussion?
okay, so that's my motion, and the reason for that is because we are basically being asked to accept parkland dedication for something that we don't even know what the proposal is. This is the first time I've seen it, absolute first time. I worked for a number of years with the previous owners, all the people that are signed on that document, with their consultants, and extensively with our staff. And we went over maps, we went over options, possibilities, and it was a 3-phase development. The reason that this was put off was because there was uncertainty as to what they were going to do with, I forget which phases it was, 1 and 3 or whatever, but there was a phase that was ready, basically, but nothing happened. And it was decided by SRD planning staff, along with the applicants, that it would probably be best if we waited until we had all 3 phases in front of us so that we could join up all of that parkland and make sure that it met the needs of the community. Because depending on which portion was being developed, parkland may be moving this direction or that direction. And, you know, everybody was totally in favor of doing that. The applicants, the consultants, and the planning department. And maps were drawn up and everybody was pleased. We'll just put it off. Well, in the meantime, some unfortunate things happened. One of the owners died. One of the other owners just sort of backed out. The consultant went on to other work, and planning staff stuck around and then changed. And basically, the application just sort of fell off the table, and it stayed there. I assume it stayed there. I don't know if it was actually withdrawn. Because I'm not able to speak with staff about things such as that. So I don't know where it sits with the old owners. The new owners have purchased it, and I have no idea what their plans are. I have no idea what phase 1, or sorry, 2 or 3 might look like, and whether parkland would be better suited in those areas than in this area. So all I can say is that I would prefer to defer it until we have a sit down and look at what it is that's being proposed for development. So we'll know what it is that we would like to see for parkland and where we would like to see it. So that's why I'm making this motion to defer.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, if Director's finished, just a couple comments to add on to that. There is no application for phase 2 and 3, so there's no current application. So if we defer it, you're basically deferring it, I suppose, with no end date. And the other thing, I feel it's our obligation to get legal advice on our ability to not accept the parkland, as we've the board has a covenant agreement that we have signed, and I will have to refer to legal about our authority to not accept that. Just some clarification, though.
Okay, Dave, if I could ask you, please. I understand what you're saying, that, you know, you've got a covenant, we need to get legal, et cetera, that's fine. But what's being proposed right now in phase 1 is all parkland. What are we dedicating parkland for? You know, what goes with the parkland dedication? Normally, we have an application for some sort of development, and then 5% of that development goes for parkland dedication. So I'm not.
Madam Chair, there was a phase one, and this is the covenant agreement that the board agreed upon for that park dedication. So what you're seeing now is the park dedication for the phase one that happened many years ago.
What is the development that was proposed? I don't see the development.
It happened.
What was it? I don't know of any development happening at April Point ever since that time, except for four 1 acre lots were subdivided that were lease lots. They were made fee simple and subdivided off. That was the only, and that was completely separate from this proposal.
So, Madam Chair,
So
again, just, I'm uncertain, I'll pass to Aniko, but this again is a covenant that the regional board entered into with the applicant to basically defer the parkland dedication subsequent to the phase happening. So whatever that phase was, this is a result of that. It was, the covenant is simply a deferral of that parkland dedication that is coming forward now.
Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong though, but it says that we would defer it until we have received further information regarding phases 2 and 3. That's a fact. That was part of that covenant discussion. So why would that not enter into this?
Thank you through the chair, if I may. At the time, the parcel was owned, the parcel and those that were subsequently subdivided were all owned by one owner. There was a vision for the overall parent parcel, which included subsequent phases of both residential and commercial development. Those phases are no longer on the table. The historic owners have sold portions of the property off, they've sold the resort off, and they are looking to sell off or give portions of the parent parcel which have separate fee simple title to family members as part of dissolving the historic, I'll call it Peterson property. So there is no longer any vision for a wholesome residential, commercial, mixed-use development over the property. You will not see what was potentially planned back in 2008 any longer. Any development that is proposed over these parcels, or what used to be the parent parcel, will be contained within the individual fee simple parcels which currently exist, and those uses which are currently contemplated over said parcels. So if there is the marina portion, they may sell off the marina portion and it will remain industrial. There's the commercial component associated with that, which is split zoned, which they may look to separate and split off as part of the zoning. They may split off portions of the residential units, like I said earlier, so that each family member can have a portion of those lands. But there is no longer a vision, and they are required to provide the regional district this parkland dedication. And in order to sever some of the old parcels or unhook some of the old parcels, they need to provide this parkland dedication to the regional district in order to have any further lot line adjustments or anything of that nature approved by the regional district and MODI.
Okay, thank you for that, Aniko. And Dave, if I may speak through to Aniko. Aniko, can you tell me though, is this parkland dedication then based on the entirety of phase 1, 2, and 3 of the previous application?
Thank you through the chair. Yes, the parkland dedication that is owing is based on the total area of the parent parcel. So they are providing us lands at 5% of the overall parent parcel from historically 2008 and prior to now. And it
Okay,
is,
so then,
and it is centrally located. You know, when staff looked at this, it's unknown what might happen in the future here, you know, as different owners come in. Perhaps one owner might want to do something, but that vision that was once, you know, in front of us is no longer. And this makes the most sense overall to provide connectivity through the entire parcel, regardless of what happens with ownership or, you know, title in the future.
okay, so the final, I hope, question is that if the developers come forward with an application for, we'll call it phase 2 and phase 3, will there be parkland dedication required for those 2 parcels?
Thank you, through the chair. Depending on what future applications may come in, there is the provision for parkland dedication. But I mean, again, that would depend on what is proposed in the future and whether or not that subdivision actually does trigger parkland dedication. But yes, there is the potential for additional parkland in the future, or cash in lieu.
So if it was a residential development, say along the waterfront side, the Discovery Passage side, or the other side, then that would most likely, because it would be, you know, more than 3 lots, that would trigger parkland dedication of some sort.
Through the chair, yeah, provided it's more than 3 lots and the lot size is less than 5 acres, yes.
Okay. All right, because the reason I'm concerned about this is because in the discussions that we had with planning staff and with the mapping that was being done by the consultant and planners, there was parkland dedication that sort of jutted out to Discovery Passage, and parkland dedication that jutted out to, I believe it's called Goose Bay or something, the water course where the marina is, over to that side. And I don't see that in this map that is being put forward now. So, you know, if there is a possibility for those areas to be accessed from the park that you're showing now in phase 1, and we could join up the park dedications of the other 2 phases so that they would, you know, be continuous to water, I think that would be beneficial to the community. That, you know, both sides are spectacular. And, you know, lots of old growth tree, there's cliffs, there's, you know, the racing passage, the cruise ships, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all, it was all part of the discussion before, and I'd just like to make sure that it can enter the conversation in the future. I don't want to cut it off by saying, this is our parkland dedication, we're done.
Any further discussion on this from any of the other directors? Turn the camera back
Yes.
on. Director Anderson?
Thank you. So I think I've learned a lot since this motion was put on the floor. I didn't, you know, clearly this was just before my time and Gerald's time. So I think deferral at this point won't get us to where we need to be based on Jim's understanding prior to staff's elaboration. It did make sense to me, but given that there isn't going to be any phase 2 or 3 that we're aware of presented to us, I don't think the deferral is of a concern. So I guess it seems obvious to accept this parkland dedication unless there used to be a bigger park play that might come back. So I guess I'm just asking through the staff, is there any downside to accepting this? Is there any greater park possibility if we were to ask for something different, or are we essentially, as I understand, we're bound to accept this given the agreement in place 15 years ago? So I think at this point, unless I understand something further, I would vote this down and then move on to the next motion. If there's anything further from staff, I'd be appreciative.
Thank you through the chair to the director. Staff has had multiple conversations with the proponents. We did a extensive site visit to the property, walked the area, looked at the environmental and physical features associated with the portion of parkland being offered, looked at the connectivity of the trails, worked out agreements with the property owners for the construction of both type 1 and type 2 trails through the park, the connections through the existing and newly proposed roadways, which will also lead to additional MODI required beach accesses to the foreshore. At this point, given the design of the existing parent parcel and the encumbrances associated with elevations and terrain, existing land uses, this likely is a good offer. Thank you.
Okay, well,
So,
if I may, I'm sure.
yes,
Yeah, so I accept all that information. Aniko, thank you for that. I still believe that the two other parcels, 2 and 3, portions, phases, whatever you want to call them, there will be development. And if there is development, then, we need to have assurance that there will be community benefit to that development. So I don't want to turn down this offer of parkland dedication. Of course not. It's a good offer, but I'm just afraid that we don't have all the information we need yet. And that's all I'm saying in this motion. It's just that it be deferred until further information is received regarding phases 2 and 3. And I think that the applicants can certainly provide that information to planning staff.
Madam Chair, if I may, they cannot. You're talking about something, there's nothing on the table, there's no collective ownership of these various parcels, there is no end date, there is no potential application. So if you defer it, you're just basically deferring it for an indefinite amount of time. There is nothing on. Staff always look at connecting parks and trails on phases of development, even if they're not phases, even if they're adjoining development properties. That's inherent in what the planning and park staff do. So if you don't want to accept this and defer it later date, you may never accept the park because there's no guarantee there will be any development or subdivision moving forward that can connect these. Of course, if there is an application, we will look at making connectivity, but we cannot assure you that there will be any development application moving forward, or phase 1 or 2 or whatever it may be. We have nothing on the table.
Okay, so I guess the last question, I promise, will be if they are giving the required amount for the entire parcel, parent parcel, then why would they be required under a future phase to give any park dedication? Could they not just point back to this and say, we already did that?
No, it's an agreement the board has already entered into. The amount of park dedication, that is an agreement we have. It is separate and there is no connection to any further agreement because there is no development application, there's no phases, there's no consistent ownership that we know of properties, so there's no connection.
Okay, well, even, I hear what you're saying, Dave, but just on the one point, this 5% was based on a number, whatever it was, 130 something acres. So does that not then preclude any further requirement for subdivision of further land because it's all owned by the same people?
Thank you through the chair. No, because future subdivision of new lands still has the potential to trigger parkland dedication. And additionally, Ministry of Transportation's requirements for foreshore accesses. So notwithstanding the park dedication that's, currently being offered or that's, outstanding, there's still the potential for future. Additionally, say there is an owner that is interested in coming in with some sort of development proposal requiring a rezoning application, amenity contributions could be explored at that time, which would potentially go above and beyond what is required for parkland through the Local Government Act. So there's always the potential there for additional opportunities for land or amenities or whatever it might be at that time.
Okay, so at this time, can I withdraw my motion or do we just need to defeat it?
You and the seconder need to agree to withdraw or defeat, whatever you agree upon.
Okay,
I would
I'd
agree with
to
withdrawal.
just withdraw.
Yeah, then it's withdrawn. And so we'll withdraw that motion.
Okay,
And so are you going to make a subsequent to accept the recommendation of the staff on this for what we've got so far?
just let me read my notes real quick here. The only part of the acceptance of the park was that in the map that was given, there was also a notation for RV sites within this park. Can you speak to that, Aniko? Because we just went through quite an extensive public hearing that was not in favor of having RV sites in along the April Point Road area and in this area in general. So to add RV traffic it was the point. The road can't handle it. The roads, as you know, Aniko, you've been out there, the road is minuscule. It's barely wide enough for one car. So anyway, so I would like to see that removed from the current offer, that RV sites just not be allowed.
Thank you through the chair. The notation on the map is outside of the offer of parkland, and it's a section of land that actually permits an RV park. So there's not much staff can do about that at this point. It says potential RV park. Whether or not that happens in the future, I can't say. But certainly it's not part of the parkland offer, which you'll see is, the green section and then the dotted trails in red and blue. The G reference there to the RV park is on a portion of private land outside of the park, and it's permitted.
Okay, Tom, can you just expand that map so that I can see like zoom out, so I can see the whole thing at once? Okay, so it doesn't actually go over to the water on the Gowan Harbor side of the property. It just goes as far as April Point Road. Is that correct?
Okay, I'm sorry, can you clarify your question, please, Director Abram? Are you referring to the park?
I'm looking at the zoomed out portion that Tom just put on the screen, and it looks like the green area stops at April Point Road and then goes down to a drawn line. Unless you zoom out further and it shows something different. No, that's all I see is.
Director Abram, the park dedication is all in green.
Correct. That's what I was asking. And there is no park dedication actually going as far as the water body.
Whatever you see
would
in
be.
green is the park dedication.
Okay. And is there any ability to change that?
Thank you through the chair. The section of land on the other side of that gray line are privately owned lots, so the answer would be no.
Sorry, everything went dead.
They're privately owned lots, Aniko said, and so the answer is no.
Okay, so it can't be extended. Okay, I'll move motion B.
Seconder?
Second.
Moved and
Anderson.
seconded. Motion B, any further discussion? Hearing none. Call the question. Anyone opposed? Carried. And I'll pass the chair back to Director Abram.
Thank you very much, Brenda.
Welcome.
So the next item is item 4, Quadra Concert Society grant and aid. A report from the CAO will be received.
Move receipt.
Moved and
Okay. Anyone opposed to receipt? See none. On to motion B.
move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those. Okay, so anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. We're done with that. And it looks like we're done. So we'll move down to termination.
Move termination.
Second.
So terminated.
Yay. I can go upstairs.
Early for your door knock.
Yeah, thank
See
you.
y'all soon.